At the engagement banquet, my phone vibrated. It was an unknown account. It sent a video link requiring a payment of 888 yuan. Below was a small line of text, "Your wife's surprise." My heart sank suddenly. An inexplicable anger rushed to my head, but more than that, an absurd premonition. I entered the payment password. The video started loading. 1 second, 2 seconds, the screen lit up, my breath caught. In a dark hotel room, a woman was riding a man, moving violently. That face, even if she turned to ashes, I would recognize her. It was Liu Ruyan, the woman I was about to marry, and the man beneath her. I knew him too, Yitan Chen, the white moonlight hidden in her heart whom she had never been willing to delete from her contacts. In that instant, my blood seemed to freeze. The world fell into a dead silence with only the panting reaching my ears. I didn't smash anything, nor did I go crazy on the spot. Calmly, I saved the video and projected it onto the large screen behind me. A wedding gift worth 888 yuan. I invite everyone to enjoy it. At first, relatives and friends thought it was playful flirting between the couple, but in less than 10 seconds, the entire hall was shocked. The mother of the bride stood up first. "Ruyan, are you crazy? What have you posted?" Her mother's shriek echoed through the hall, almost bursting my eardrums. I looked at her with a voice as calm as a dead pond. "I was the one who posted the video, didn't you see it? Why would you fake a video like this, just to slander Ruyan? How has she failed you for you to resort to this? The Liu family is still deceiving themselves. You know very well whether it's fake or not, or you can go ask her right now." Her mother wanted to say more but was stopped by my father beside her. "Ziquan, what are you doing? Turn that off now. Can't we talk in private? Why make a scene here?" "Dad, they trampled on my dignity at my own engagement party." "Is our reputation more important than your son's dignity?" Liu Ruyan, who was resting backstage, also heard the commotion. With her hair disheveled, she burst into the hall with tears on her face. "Hang Ziquan, what are you doing? That video is fake. Who wants to ruin my wedding?" "Ziquan, do you want to destroy me?" Her mother hugged her, pointing a finger at me and cursing. "Look, everyone, this Hang Ziquan just wants to call off the engagement. He used AI face swapping to frame Ruyan. My Ruyan is so unfortunate." I looked coldly at this entire family, a pathetic performance. Showing no mercy, I pulled a spare phone out of my pocket and opened a cloud link. "AI face swapping, you say?" I projected the phone screen again, showing the photos I had just retrieved from the cloud backup of Liu Ruyan's phone. One after another, intimate photos of her and Yitan Chen from college until last week. The most recent one was even at the entrance of the hotel from the video. Furthermore, I kindly opened the photo details, showing the clear time and location. "Mrs. Liu, are these photos from her phone also made with AI?" Liu Ruyan's crying stopped abruptly. She stared blankly at my phone screen. The color drained from her face before our eyes, leaving her as pale as paper. "And these are also the hotel booking records for you and Yitan Chen. In the past year, a total of 23 times. Do you need me to read them out loud?" January 23rd, 5:37 p.m. Couple's room at the Chenin Jinpin Hotel. "Stop." Liu Ruyan's body swayed and she collapsed onto the floor. In an instant, the curses from my future in-laws also ceased. They looked in disbelief at their daughter, then at me. The guests present all raised their phones to record the scandal. What else is there to say? Get out. Just at that moment, my phone screen lit up. A text message from Yitan Chen, like an arrogant letter of challenge. It seems he still hasn't realized. This is just the beginning. I deleted the message as if nothing had happened. That same night, I sat in front of the computer and wrote a simple script. I pixelated the key parts of that 888 yuan video and accompanied it with that arrogant phrase of Yitan Chen, "Thanks for the dowry money." I edited it into a short 15-second video. This video, along with screenshots of the hotel records of Liu Ruyan and Yitan Chen, were uploaded simultaneously to hundreds of local forums, gossip groups, and short video platforms. I didn't use any of my own information. All IP addresses were routed abroad through multiple layers of proxies. I also spent 1,000 yuan to hire several marketing accounts, targeting precisely the companies where Liu Ruyan and Yitan Chen worked. Manager of a certain chicken soup media company is unfaithful during marriage, and director Yitan Chen plays with another's wife. These two topics began to ferment with the push of money. At first, they were only spread on a small scale, but soon a gossip blogger with millions of followers forwarded it. The video exploded instantly. Once the snowball of public opinion started rolling, it could no longer be stopped. Liu Ruyan's social media account was exposed, and those photos of peaceful days she had posted before now became an irony. And under the official account of Yitan Chen's company, thousands of questions and mocks suddenly flooded in. His company's management can manage itself. The money we spend on their group's products becomes hotel expenses for people like this. These big companies value brand image the most. Negative public opinion is a deadly poison, as expected. At 9:00 a.m. the next day, the official account of Yiting Chen's company published a cold dismissal announcement, completely washing its hands of any responsibility. It seemed that Yiting Chen had been ruthlessly abandoned by the car manufacturer he was so proud of. But this was only the beginning. Because of this, Liu Ruyan also lost her job. Without a husband and without a reputation, perhaps unable to bear it, she called late that night. On the other end of the phone, a long-repressed crying could be heard. She broke down. "Ziquan, I beg you, forgive me, it was my fault, I will do whatever it takes, I'll be your slave, only forgive me." I listened in silence. In the intervals of her crying, I clearly heard on the other side of the phone another woman's impatient voice. "Look at what you have done now. Yes, the family is ruined, the house we had in our hands is also gone." It was Liu Ruyan's mother. I didn't say a word. I hung up the phone directly and then blocked all of Liu Ruyan's contacts. I almost forgot. Between Liu Ruyan and me there was still a house. At that time, to bypass the second home policy, I used the first home eligibility of Liu Ruyan. But in reality, I paid for most of the house. Now that they were trying to cheat me, how could I let them get away with it? I immediately called the real estate agent, asking them to help sell the wedding house. The faster, the better. By the next morning, on my WeChat friend requests, her name appeared. She had obviously realized that I deleted her, but when I returned to my parents' house, I found she was already waiting there. Along with her were also Liu Ruyan's parents. Liu Ruyan's eyes were red, with fresh tears still on her face. As soon as she saw me, she burst into tears. "Ziquan, why did you delete me from WeChat? You blocked me, I can't contact you." I was almost scared to death. I looked at her blankly, as if looking at a stranger. Auntie Liu held her emotional daughter and looked at me with displeasure, repeating the same old speeches, saying that I didn't answer calls and disappeared, breaking up over a trifle. Why are we breaking up? You know it yourself. Was the video not clear enough? Do I need to show it to you again? The face of Liu Ruyan turned pale instantly. She grabbed my arm and hastily explained, "It's not what you think, I can explain. That night I only drank a little." I didn't expect. I looked at her coldly. "I'm serious about breaking up, there's nothing left to say between us. Now there are only some property issues to resolve." I looked at Liu Ruyan, saying each word clearly. "The wedding house we bought together must be liquidated. I have already contacted people to put it up for sale." Upon mentioning the house, the faces of Liu Ruyan and her mother completely changed. That house was the last bond tying our relationship, and also the security they had secured by spending all of their savings. Why liquidate it? The house is in Liu Ruyan's name. We paid a 300,000 down payment. What does it have to do with you? Liu Ruyan also squeezed my hand, crying and saying, "Ziquan, you can't do this to me. It's our home. We said we would get married there and spend our whole lives there. Did you forget?" I withdrew my hand calmly. "Home. A place that can abandon me for another man? What kind of home is that?" I looked at Auntie Liu with a cold and piercing gaze. "Ma'am, you are right. On the deed of the house, only Liu Ruyan's name appears. When we bought the house to evade the second property policy, my parents' old house was under my name, so I used her first home eligibility. I trusted her, which is why I agreed to have only her name on it, but of the 1,200,000 down payment, her family contributed 300,000, and I contributed 900,000,700,000 of which was my savings from these past years, and the other 200,000 was given by my parents. I have saved every transfer record and bank statement." Auntie Liu's arrogance deflated instantly. I ignored her and continued. "In addition to the down payment, the mortgage for these past 2 years, 12,000 a month, I paid all by myself. I also paid the 500,000 for the renovation. I have concrete proof of everything. Now that we are over, the house can go to Liu Ruyan, but she must return all the money I put in, with interest, without missing a single cent. This includes the 900,000 down payment, the 24 mortgage payments over 2 years totaling 288,000, and the 500,000 for renovation, making a grand total of 1,688,000. A deathly silence fell over the room. Liu Ruyan and her mother stared at me in shock, as if they didn't know me. In their memory, I had always been that loyal boyfriend who obeyed Liu Ruyan in everything, pleasing her in every way. They believed that by simply bringing up our 7-year relationship, by just crying and making a scene, my heart would soften and I would give in. But they didn't expect me to be so cold and decisive this time, to the point of calculating everything in such detail. "Ziquan, you are too cruel. Our Ruyan gave you the best 7 years of her life. How can you be so calculating with her?" Ma'am, let's be reasonable. If I were the one who cheated today, you would say I shouldn't take a single cent, right? Why is it that when your daughter is the one in the wrong, it turns out that I am the cruel and calculating one? Is that a mistake? It was just a favor between friends. Are you overreacting? I nodded, without arguing further. Who is right? In that case, there is nothing more to say. Let's separate money and liquidated assets on good terms. 1,688,000. Either they pay and the house is theirs, or they agree to sell it and split it in proportion to their investment. Liuyan finally reacted from her shock. She shook her head, her face bathed in tears. Ziquan, I have no money. Where am I going to get so much money to give you? Don't do this to me. We can't break up. I was wrong. Really, I was wrong. Let's make up for the engagement party. Please, give me another chance. Her crying sounded especially pitiful. If it had been before, my heart surely would have ached and I would have hugged her, but now my heart is as hard as a rock. If you don't have money, sell the house. No, we can't sell the house. That's Liuyan's wedding house. Wedding house. I let out a mocking laugh. The man she is going to marry is not me. Why does she want a wedding house so Yiting Chen can live there? Liuyan's face turned pale instantly. She cried out in a sobbing voice, Ziquan, how can you say that to me? Is that how you see me in your heart? My father, who had remained silent all this time, finally spoke, stood up, and approached Liuyan and her mother with a slow tone but with unquestionable authority. Ladies, my son has already made it very clear. Our family doesn't want things to get too ugly, but we aren't going to lose out for no reason either. This house is the result of both families' efforts. Since we can't be together, let's divide it according to our investment. It's fair and reasonable. If you agree, we can sit down and negotiate. If not, we will see each other in court. Then it won't be good for anyone. My father's words completely shattered the Mrs. Liu's last psychological barrier. She knew our family was serious and that we had all the evidence. If we went to trial, they would lose for sure. Not only would they not receive a penny, they would even have to pay. Although reluctantly, Mrs. Liu had no choice but to nod. Liuyan stared at me with a look full of disbelief. She probably never imagined that I, always so gentle, could be so cold and relentless. But it was all too late. From the moment she abandoned me at the engagement party to leave with Yiting Chen, everything had been left behind. Shortly after, the house was booked by a newlywed couple. After deducting Li Yuruyan's 300,000 from the sale, there was still a good amount left. That became my capital to start anew. After spending an entire year on the construction site, I learned a lot about the decoration and building materials industry. I also met some reliable suppliers and construction teams. I thought that maybe now I could turn this into my own business. Thanks to the recommendation of a good friend, I met Mr. Zhu of the Honan Group. He had been looking for a decoration team recently. He had contacted several design companies, but none of them satisfied him. However, my proposal caught his attention. Mr. Zhuo told me directly that he wanted to open a separate decoration branch and have me work with him as the general manager of the branch. I accepted. In the following days, I dedicated myself entirely to the preparations for the new company, registering the company, renting the office, hiring employees. Everything started from scratch. 15 days later, Jianyang Home Decor was officially established. The office was located in a luxury office building. The decoration style was simple yet stylish. Every detail reflected a sense of design. On the opening day, Mr. Zhuo personally attended to cut the ribbon and invited several business friends and media journalists. The ceremony was very solemn. I, as the general manager of the branch, took the stage to give a speech at that moment. I was no longer that man trampled into the dust by love, but a businessman in control of his own business and future. But right after the opening ceremony, an unexpected visitor appeared, Li Yuruyan. She was completely drunk. She gave off a strong smell of alcohol and her hair was messy. The moment she saw me, her eyes turned red. Ziquan, I finally found you. She lunged to hug me, but I stepped aside. She missed and fell heavily to the ground. Why don't you reply to my messages or answer my calls? She screamed and cried from the floor, drawing everyone's attention. Mr. Zhuo frowned and looked at me. My scalp went numb. This woman wanted to ruin my reputation. Mr. Zhuo asked me with some annoyance, who is this? I could only answer with resignation, she is my ex-girlfriend. I bent down to try and help Li Yuruyan up, but she pushed my hand away and grabbed tightly my pant leg, squeezing until it was hard for me to breathe. Ziquan, don't abandon me. I really know I was wrong. I can't live without you. Her appearance was that of a resentful and abandoned woman, provoking more murmurs among those present. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Li Yuruyan immediately changed her attitude. Pointing at me, she complained to the crowd, look, this man abandoned our years-long relationship for another woman. He not only sold our marital home but also kicked me out of the house directly. He is ungrateful, a Chen Shaimai. The Liu Ruyan's words were like a bomb that instantly exploded in the venue. All eyes were focused on me, filled with contempt and condemnation. Mr. Zhao's face darkened completely. The matter of the engagement banquet was only known to our mutual friends, and even then, only in fragments. Liu Ruyan dared to say that because she calculated that no one there would believe those baseless rumors. Feeling unhappy herself, she wanted to ruin my reputation today so that I wouldn't have peace either. I was trembling with rage, my chest feeling as if there was a huge rock on it. I had seen shameless people, but never someone this shameless. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. I looked at Liu Ruyan, who was still sprawled on the floor making a scene. Liu Ruyan, are you sure you want to clear everything up here? My voice wasn't loud, but it carried a piercing coldness. Liu Ruyan was stunned upon seeing me, and her crying gradually faded, though she kept insulting me under her breath. I nodded, took out my phone, and opened a video. It was the security camera recording I installed in the living room of our marital home. I originally installed it to prevent theft and also to check on the renovation progress. I had already deleted it, but before selling the house on an impulse, I backed up some clips. I connected my phone to the venue's big screen. Since my ex-girlfriend says I'm ungrateful, let everyone see who is really the ungrateful one. The video started playing. The first clip showed Liu Ruyan and Yiding Chen sitting on the sofa in the living room. Ruyan, are you really going to marry Huang Ziquan? He's so boring, totally unworthy of you. I have no choice, he is good to me and we've been together for so many years, we already bought the house. Being good to you is just materialistic, your soul is lonely. Only I understand you, Yiding Chen said as he took Liu Ruyan's hand. She didn't pull it away but instead leaned on his shoulder. Chen, sometimes I want to leave everything and go with you. Then reject his marriage proposal. The house is in your name, isn't it? Say something sweet to convince him and get the rights to the house investment as well. Then we'll kick him out and we can be together openly. The hall fell into an absolute silence. Everyone stared at the screen in disbelief. Then they turned their heads to Liu Ruyan, who was lying on the floor. Her face turned pale as ash. I didn't stop. I continued playing the second video. It was the night before our engagement party. Because of an unexpected issue with a project, I went to work at the company. In the video, Yiding Chen walked straight through the door. They hugged and kissed on the sofa. His hands even began to wander inappropriately. Liu Ruyan seemed to half resist, but her body clung honestly to Yiding Chen. He smiled and kissed her deeper. Suddenly, the hall erupted into total chaos. The scornful looks that were previously directed at me now turned into condemnation and contempt for Liu Ruyan. She was completely stunned. She stared blankly at my phone, her mouth wide open as if she could swallow an egg, but without making a sound. She surely never imagined that her most private and shameful side would be exposed by me in this manner before everyone. I turned off the video and looked down at Liu Ruyan. Do you still think I'm a cheater? She pointed at me, trembling with rage. You've been spying on me, you're a pervert. If I weren't a little perverted, would I have to wear the green hat you gave me and walk down the aisle with you to support you and your best friend with my money? Liu Ruyan was speechless, only letting out desperate whimpers on the floor. I stopped paying attention to her and turned to everyone in the hall. Friends from the media, I know you want news. No problem, I'll give it to you. I took out my phone and via Bluetooth sent all the journalists present the surveillance videos and recording clips. I already have a headline in mind, something like, "The night before the wedding. The bride's spiritual connection with her best friend or best friend of the year, sleeping with your wife and expecting you to be understanding." The journalists went wild instantly. One by one, they stared down at their phones, their faces filled with excitement and shock. Liu Ruyan glared at me. Trembling with rage, I looked at her coldly and called the hall's security guards directly. I had them drag Liu Ruyan out of the venue in the most humiliating way. The farce finally came to an end. I turned toward all the guests, bowed, and apologized. The attendees didn't blame me much. On the contrary, there was polite applause. However, inside, I didn't feel a shred of joy. Exposing my most shameful wounds to others in this way was actually a form of self-harm, but to rid myself of Liu Ruyan completely, it was all worth it. Since then, I didn't hear anything from her. The next time I had news of her was half a year later. That day at my company coincided with a sudden surge in orders. Mr. Zhao was in an excellent mood, and his appreciation for me grew day by day. He even introduced me to his daughter Zoya. Our relationship was developing very steadily, but just as I was busy preparing the marriage proposal, a day before, I received a call from the police. "Hello, is this Mr. Huang Ziquan? We are from the Chengxi police station." Your ex-girlfriend, Liu Ruyan, has jumped from the rooftop of the building where you used to live. She is currently being treated at the hospital. My mind instantly went blank. Liu Ruyan had committed suicide and left a farewell letter saying that I was to blame for her death. Absurdity, shock, and an indescribable complexity of emotions flooded my heart. Officer, you must have made a mistake. We broke up a long time ago. What do I have to do with her jumping? Mr. Wang, we are only notifying you following the procedure. Your name appeared in the letter. We need you to cooperate with the investigation. After hanging up, I immediately called Mr. Zhuo and briefly explained the situation. Mr. Zhuo told me not to worry, saying he would send the company's legal counsel to accompany me. Half an hour later, Attorney Song and I met at the entrance of the Chengxi police station. Upon entering the station, a solemn and majestic atmosphere enveloped me. Liu Ruyan's parents were there, and so was Yitan Chen. As soon as Liu Ruyan's mother saw me, she rushed at me like crazy, scratching and hitting me. She kept screaming that I was a murderer. Two police officers rushed to pull her away. Liu Ruyan's father, with his eyes red, stared intently at me without looking away, while Yitan Chen stood to the side, his face pale and his gaze evasive, not daring to look me in the eye. An officer led me to an interrogation room. Attorney Song also came in. The officer placed a printed document in front of me. It was the farewell letter that Liu Ruyan had left. I took the paper. My hands trembled slightly out of control. It read, "To my beloved Ziquan. By the time you read this letter, I will already have left this world. Forgive me for doing it this way, to prove my love to you. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have gotten involved with Yitan Chen. I shouldn't have planned with you to flee the engagement dinner, let alone say those words that hurt you. But I truly love you. Those 7 years of moments together, have you completely forgotten them? I thought if I came back, you would always be waiting for me in the same place, but I never imagined you would be so ruthless. You sold our home and humiliated me in front of everyone. You pushed me to the limit. Now you are thriving. You've become a big boss everyone envies. You must have by your side a younger and more beautiful girl, right? You've wanted to get rid of me for a long time. The engagement dinner was nothing but an excuse you had already planned. Ziquan, you are truly cruel. I am leaving, taking all my love and disappointment in you with me. I curse you with my life so that you live your entire life with guilt and never know happiness. Yours, Ruyan." After reading this letter, I was trembling with anger. It was a suicide note that twisted the facts. It was an evil curse. Even in death, she tried to smear me, accusing me of driving my ex-girlfriend to her death. Mr. Wang, do you have anything to say about the content of this letter? The officer's expression was very serious. I replied coldly, no, it's all lies. I wasn't the one who drove her to her death. She spun her own web. I recounted the whole process from when we fell in love to when we broke up, including her conflict with Yitan Chen and how she came to cause trouble at my company. I related it point by point. Attorney Song added, "Officer, my client has no legal relationship with Miss Liu Ruyan. As a person with full legal capacity, Miss Liu Ruyan's act of suicide was a voluntary choice. The corresponding consequences should not fall on my client. This suicide note is full of subjective and emotional accusations. It cannot serve at all as a basis for determining that my client has any fault." The officer nodded. He carefully took notes in his notebook. Suddenly, the officer raised his head and asked about Yitan Chen's situation. I was stunned. That's right, where was Yitan Chen? Hadn't Liu Ruyan stayed with him as she wished? So when she jumped from the building, where was Yitan Chen? The officer got up and went out. Attorney Song and I waited in the interrogation room. About 20 minutes passed. The same officer returned with an unusual expression. He said the situation might be more complicated than they imagined. It turned out they had checked the neighborhood's surveillance cameras. Liu Ruyan arrived alone in a taxi and went straight to the rooftop. They discovered that her last call was to Yitan Chen. The duration of the call was a full 40 minutes. My heart sank. Her last call was to Yitan Chen. What exactly did they talk about? The officer looked at me and explained slowly. Liu Ruyan was pregnant. She wanted Yitan Chen to take responsibility, but Yitan Chen was a good-for-nothing slacker. Not only did he do nothing all day, but he had also lost his job due to the previous scandal. He didn't have the capacity to assume that responsibility, so he wanted to rid himself of Liu Ruyan's harassment, but he didn't expect her to threaten him with death. If Yitan Chen didn't stay with her, she would jump from the building. Yitan Chen thought Liu Ruyan was only threatening him, so he said some provocative words to her. "What words?" I asked hurriedly. The officer sighed and said, "Yitan Chen said, jump if you want, it doesn't matter, it's better if you die, that way you'll stop bothering me." "Do you really think I like you? I was only playing with you. Who made you so easy to fool? That fool Wang Ziquan doesn't want you. And you think I'm going to pick up the leftovers? Stop dreaming." After saying those words, Liu Ruyan hung up the phone. Less than a minute after hanging up, she jumped. After hearing this, I understood please note that due to character constraints, the last sentence, the last straw for Liu Ruyan. It wasn't me but her male confidant whom she always trusted. How ironic. I don't know whether to feel pity for her or hate her. Attorney Song, being sharp, caught the key point. Officer, the conduct of Yi Tian-chen already constitutes the crime of negligent homicide. The officer nodded. We are investigating this aspect. If confirmed, he will assume the corresponding legal responsibility. When I left the interrogation room, I saw Yi Tian-chen looking like a wreck, being dragged out of another room by two officers, with an ashen face and a vacant stare, repeatedly chanting, "I am a murderer." Liu Ruyan's parents also heard the news. They immediately rushed at Yi Tian-chen, hitting and insulting him. The police station was plunged into chaos in an instant. I stood aside from the crowd, coldly watching everything that unfolded. A farce started by betrayal and deceit that ended with the death of one person and the uncontrollable tears of the other. 2 days later, news came from the hospital. Liu Ruyan, unable to bear the public pressure, jumped to her death, while Yi Tian-chen, implicated in negligent homicide, was formally arrested. This event caused a huge stir online. On the day of my company's opening, the news published by reporters had already caused the social death of Liu Ruyan and Yi Tian-chen. Now, with Liu Ruyan's suicide and Yi Tian-chen's arrest, the debate exploded across the internet. Public opinion was divided into several camps. Some said I was too cruel, that I had driven my ex-girlfriend to the extreme, being a perpetrator of cyber violence. Others said Liu Ruyan had brought it on herself and deserved no sympathy. There were also those who pointed at Yi Tian-chen, calling him the real culprit. My company reacted very quickly and immediately published a statement clarifying that Liu Ruyan and I had been separated for a long time, and emphasized that her suicide was a tragedy caused by multiple factors. Asking netizens to view the matter rationally, Director Zhou also called me personally, advising me not to let myself be influenced by external opinions. Zoya, even more worried about my state, moved directly into my house to take care of my daily life. But in reality, I was very calm inside after going through so much. I no longer wanted to get entangled in the past. People will talk, let them say what they want. I have a clear conscience as my life has already begun a new chapter. My wedding with Zoya was set for half a year later. On the wedding day, the streets were decorated with lanterns and ornaments filled with joy. Dressed in the traditional red bridal attire amidst the din of drums and gongs and the blessings of family and friends, I went to receive the bride Zoya, who was wearing a phoenix coronet and a wide-sleeved gown. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Seeing her with her picture-perfect smile, my heart was filled with unprecedented happiness and peace. I had finally found that soulmate who could walk by my side and accompany me for a lifetime. On the wedding night, Zoya, leaning on my shoulder, whispered to me, "Actually, that wasn't the first time we met at the celebration banquet." She asked me if I remembered the young couple who came to see the house when I sold the apartment. Suddenly, a spark lit up my mind. That day, indeed, there was a young couple who seemed very warm and who had also shown great interest in that apartment. And that girl. I looked at her in disbelief. Zoya smiled and nodded. It was indeed her who came to see the house. She and her driver had posed as a young couple. Originally, she had learned from the real estate agent that I was selling the house because my fiancé had betrayed me. In her heart, she felt a special feeling towards me, sympathy, but above all, curiosity. So when Director Zhou introduced us at the celebration banquet, Zoya wasn't surprised at all. She even thought it was a predestined fate. Listening to her story, my heart felt a deep warmth.